Hey, it's Brett. I just want to quickly walk you through how it is PM Squared can help you throughout the OKR journey. So let's do the stage setting first. This slide is indicating a timeline that begins in Q1. You know what? You can start your OKRs at any point in time, in the middle of a quarter, at the end of a quarter. Could be Q4 when you start it, doesn't matter. As you go through this, there's going to be two waves of activity you'll see. One is sort of the effort level that you and your team need to put in to build and maintain the system. Obviously, that's front end loaded as we build the system, gather data, and so forth, and then it just quickly decreases over time. The second curve is all about the benefits. The benefits begin right at the beginning of the journey and move exponentially as you continue. Now, we define this overall journey into three phases. The first phase is we call learning OKRs, and that's where we build your internal capabilities around OKRs. Now, this storyline assumes that you have a strategy to begin with. If not, we're going to talk about that on the next slide. As we start off our journey, the first thing we want to do is benchmark your current status, because it's always reassuring to do another survey at the end and see what a great journey the organization has been on. Then we get to work. The first week, of course, is building your overall OKR framework. That's capturing your existing strategy, prioritizing it, using our unique ontology process to be very concise on how the cascade works down to departments and teams, and make sure that we have the overlaps and underlaps dealt with. The second stage in that push to turn on the OKRs is all about actually gathering historic data, which is useful so you can see the trend again before we turn on the OKR system. But more importantly, setting realistic, best possible targets. And we'll talk about the best possible concept later. But the idea is we're now dealing with a much more specific level of activity, and therefore the targets might not exist in your current budgeting and strategic planning process. But that's, again, like a week's effort and we're done. So now we got to the top of the mountain, we begin having a decrease in effort and an increase in benefits. Now, there are benefits, as I mentioned, that occur even at the beginning. The idea of just getting clear on the strategy, getting clear on this quarter's or this year's priorities, being clear on how it cascades down to my department and my team, being clear about what those performance targets are. And even that process in itself, if you did nothing else, you'd see an improvement in how the organization performs. But there's a 20% improvement if you continue the journey by having these ongoing performance meetings. So that sort of enters in what we call the second phase of the OKR journey, which is building a cadence of accountability. How do we help individuals, teams, departments become accountable for their performance? And it's incredibly important that you increase the tempo of business. This is no longer a quarterly meeting or a monthly meeting. They're weekly, they're daily meetings. So by increasing the tempo, we increase the agility of the organization, the responsiveness, and more importantly, the focus on performance. So we help you here by constructing those meetings in a way that become risk-free and then coaching you on how to run those meetings so that they're productive performance conversations as opposed to blaming and, just a waste of everyone's time. So our coaching in that area sometimes spans just 3 months, sometimes it's 6 months, sometimes it's a year. We've got some clients where we come back literally on a quarterly basis to help them out. So that's about running better meetings. Again, using metaphors, this first part, building it, is a bit like buying a better set of golf clubs. And this part here is about having a coach to teach us how to swing those clubs better for better impact. Now, we then move into the third phase. The third phase is all about institutionalizing this new culture, these performance habits that we're talking about. And there are several activities that happen here where we are our great assistance, our clients tell us, is on this quarterly refresh. So once a quarter, we should get back together, take a look at those OKRs and update them. Why? Because your competitors change, your market changes, you change, you're getting better capabilities, you're getting a better ability to forecast the best possible performance and so forth. Now, our involvement there tends to decrease fairly quickly over time, but that's how we can support you in that phase. Now, finally, sometime out in the future here, we're going to send out a second survey using the same questions, of course, we used in the benchmark, and now we can compare how your organization has progressed over time. So there's a view of what the future looks for you and how we can help you along each of these steps. Now, as we get to each step, you can decide if you actually need external support or not, but we just want to give you that heads up. Now, it's important to note that when we do OKRs, we find that it actually begins to network in sorts of other areas that leadership's concerned about. Now, we've drawn this diagram that is our explanation of what the executives are responsible for. We call that the PM Squared Executive Suite. Now, OKRs are down here in the bottom right corner. The idea is, in order to do our OKRs, we start off with a strategy. From there, we understand how your process is linked to it. From there, we understand the KRs, and from there, we can do OKRs. So it's important to note that this is on the journey. I mentioned earlier on, we can only do OKRs if you understand your strategy. So like a salmon swimming upstream, we got to get this stuff done. Now, it's important to note that as you begin doing this work, all sorts of other opportunities trigger themselves. So for example, when we begin doing that ontology, linking your processes to the objectives, you begin to see where there's gaps in your performance and allows you to prioritize where you should be doing performance improvement. We can also take a look at your proposed projects to see if they're actually closing those gaps. So get alignment between your project portfolio and the existing performance gaps. Obviously, if we have these two things, we can move towards having better financial plans. But to get financial plans, you can see we need several other things. One, of course, is OKRs. If we link our OKRs and other related bodies of work like creating self-managed work teams, driving culture and employee engagement, that all links into rewards and compensation, which of course is an important part of business and financial plans. And then finally, we all know there's a relationship between risk and reward. So we should be able to take the strategy and understand what risks are inherent in the strategy. So we can scorecard both the risks and the benefits. Now management can have that conversation, understanding that as I make decisions about moving into markets or launching a new product, I can understand the risks that we create and the potential benefits that are out there so that we can balance risk and reward. So these are all an integrated series of activities that management needs to do. We happen to be having a conversation about OKRs, but you'll see as we go on our journey, other opportunities are going to spring to mind about where there are gains for the organization. The OKRs didn't create those problems, but they are giving you a tool to allow you to see them. So this is an overview of the OKRs and how we help you, and then secondly, how that fits in the total management system. If you want to talk about this more, just give me a ring or follow through on any of the links on the page to watch other videos that describe elements of this story.